We are installing this Mirax 14-foot trampoline with enclosure. So we're going to do a review, but also take you through what I'm going to go through here for the installation process. So I just unpacked everything and checked it against the parts list, and it appears that everything's here. I want to just make a few observations before I start putting this together. First of all, it's a lot of parts, but if you look, there's really just 6 of everything. So a 14-foot trampoline is obviously going to have a lot of parts, so it should be pretty simple, I'm thinking, reading through the directions. But a couple things. Number one, the backboard for the basketball. It's almost regulation size, and it's a pretty heavy-duty plastic, so this isn't a toy. Number two, the rim is metal and has a regulation size, at least close to regulation size there. So this is pretty heavy-duty, looking pretty rugged here. Number three, we spent a little more than most of the other trampolines on the market in this price range. But we liked the reviews on it. The poles, which protect the net here, come with a protective padding on it, which is going to be great. So any injury could be prevented there. There are the sleeves that go over the poles, and number four, the other one I want to make, it comes with a protective mesh on it. We were going to buy a protective mat separately, but it appears it already comes with one, and I must not have read the directions that well, because it does come with that mat there. Number five, I've seen some cheapy springs on a few trampolines over the years, but these are pretty heavy duty. You can see they're a nice thick gauge here. 64 springs, I believe. And also the trampoline mat, it's got nice thickness to it, which seems pretty standard, although I don't pretend to be a trampoline expert. The metal here on these posts, pretty heavy duty, nice solid. So overall, pretty impressed with the quality of the parts so far. All right, we have our little blueprints out here. Step one is to assemble the frame, and we laid it out to look just like that. My circle's not quite as perfect, but the good news is here, step one took a huge chunk out of our parts list. So step two is going to be to put these together. The instructions are quite good, plain English, very easy to read, good diagrams. So I'm going to go through all these steps and check back. Step two was really easy. All I did was take these bottom crossbars and shove them in to the posts. Step three says we need 2 people at this point. I'm sort of a one-man crew here because I want this to be a surprise for my little one. So I'm kind of doing it myself. I really didn't need 2 people to do this, but there is one important part to this step, and that is to make sure these holes here line up, so that it says it's important for the next step. So all we're doing in step 4 here is taking these rails, hooking them together, and then taking this screw and washer, and we're going to screw them in right there. We're going to do that to the leg on the right side as you're looking to it. As you can see, this one's a little different. We're going to use some different hardware for that. But check it out. We have ourselves a perfect circle after putting the whole rail in, and I'm going to go fasten them down. Here's a quick tip. You could do the whole project with a screwdriver here, but just to increase the speed, I have my trusty hammer drill here, so we're going to go ahead and buzz right through this. Step 6, we're laying out the trampoline mat in the center. 2 keys here. We want the labels up to get the shiny side that we'll be jumping on, and also the labels, you can't see that one over there too well, but the labels should be aligned with any fence post and sort of making a clock out of it. So that's 12 o'clock there and 6 o'clock down here. The next series of steps, we're installing the springs here, and we're going to use this included spring loading tool. So there's a specific order that they require you to install these in. So first you install 4 this way, and then you install 1 in between each of those, and then you continue on and so forth, just filling in the gaps so it stretches evenly and is centered. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, this was a pretty easy stretch. I thought it was going to take some effort here, but the first 2 are simple to put in. just notice that even though it says the tag should be in the center of the pole, you have to pick which notch you're going to put the spring in. And then on the other side, you have to make sure you're 100% across. So you can see this is on the left side of the post here, and then from this perspective, it's on the right side of the post over there. So we need to make sure we have an even amount. Over here, there doesn't seem to be a marker as to the 3 and 9 o'clock position, so I'm going to manually count these before I hook it up, just so I don't mess it up and have to start over. Just do yourself a favor on step 8 and manually count out both the number of notches. You see their system here, 0 all the way counting up to 72, I believe here. So for example, I counted from here 0 to 18, 18 to 36, 36 to 54, and 54 over there, and so on. But don't just count the number of notches, also count the number of tabs here. Save yourself some time later so you don't misalign it. So I'm about halfway done putting the hooks in here, and it's going easier and easier because you don't have to count you know, 18s or 6s. So now I'm just sort of splitting the difference in between. The hooks, they require reasonable effort to pull, but not too much. I would say your average strength person can install this no problem. We have all the springs installed, and I'm going into, this is about 55 minutes of labor here so far, including unpacking. Of course I'm videoing here, but just about an hour to get to a point where it looks like a usable trampoline, and then we're going to move on. But I'm going to take a quick break before I continue. Our next step is to install the protective mat around the springs. So this protects from kids getting caught in the springs or falling through the side over here. So we're going to do it, just some elastic straps in the next step to just tie down, nothing big. So I'm under the trampoline, and I thought this step would be simple, which it is, but tying down these elastic cords is requiring quite a bit of effort. My hands are getting tired, my arms are getting tired. You're supposed to tie bows like this. My fingers really started hurting, so I just started tying loose box knots there. But this would be good to have 2 or 3, even 4 people helping you out, because it's a little tedious, pretty time consuming, and it does wear you out. Alright, so I just about have feeling back in my hands from tying all those elastic ties. And I was building the trampoline over here in the center of the yard just because I had room, but it really needs to be on the most level spot in the yard, which is over here, and this is also out of the way. I'm going to push this back. I had to trim some trees out of the way because they were a little low. And I also made sure to mow the grass here before I put it in, because I don't want to keep moving this all the time. But I will say I moved it about 20 feet, and it was pretty easy to move, so nice and light, but still, you know, heavy duty. Now that I have the trampoline in the place that I want it, we're on to putting up the supports for the netting. Okay, this is the one with the foam. We're going to use quite a bit of hardware here. We're going to use these bolts, these curved washers, these spacers, these lock washers, and the lock nuts as well. And then those are going to get attached to the leg here with the 2 holes in it. You can see I need a little help aligning this one here since I moved it. So I'm going to pop these all in. We'll see, there's 6 legs, and I believe one of them is going to be the basketball hoop leg, so we're going to do 5 out of 6. Just to give you a look what it looks like, the bolt goes through, the spacer goes here, the curved washer goes there, followed by the split washer, and finally, excuse my one-handed approach here, and then finally that goes on, then we'll tighten that up. And it looks like that. Okay, just a quick look at what the poles look like after they're installed. Now we're on to step 14 with the backboard. Okay, now we're going to use O and N, these parts are marked, to hook the hoop to the backboard. We're going to set it like that, and then we're just going to thread these through the 4 holes there. So on this side of the hoop it's going to look like this. Then we're going to flip it over and thread those same screws through this, and this is going to connect to the backboard pole here. Next, we are going to attach these to the pole by threading these through the hole, like so. And then this one goes on the other side. See, you don't need two people, let alone two hands. So you thread those through, and then we will secure them with that. So all secured here. I actually, in my last clip there, used too long of a screw. So we want the square nut bolt, and then you'll see they're nice and snug there. Had a little too long before. Here we have it all tightened up, ready to go. This, here's a quick tip. Don't use this wrench. Go and get yourself a socket wrench, because this is pretty tedious. You can't get a full turn on it. I was using this, and it took me a lot more time, so you can save a bunch of time just by grabbing a socket wrench there. This is fine to use the Allen key here, but get yourself a socket wrench to really speed things up. So the next part's pretty simple here. Just pull down the foam, and then we'll put the top half of the pole together. And then we're just going to secure that here with my screw gun or the included screwdriver, either way. And finally, we're going to just simply install the basketball hoop in the same manner we installed all of the legs, all the posts before. Apparently, I missed this step, attaching this piece here in the beginning, but no harm, no foul. We could just easily detach this piece here. Well, one hand again. It has a little pin in it, and then we'll slide the basketball hoop on at the end. And there we have it. The basketball hoop is now installed. Again, not too bad. Everything's been pretty simple and straightforward, just some tedious steps. Now it's on to hanging the net. Okay, one minor thing that isn't super clear in the directions. These covers need to be slid down over the foam here. It's a little bit tedious. Again, this is another spot where having a second or third person can really save you some time. But you see, you just slide them down over the top, and then we can install the net. So this is a little bit frustrating here. It seems like the instructions have been awesome all the way up to this point, and now I have to install the net, and it seems like they just didn't finish it in the directions. So a little bit frustrating. It's going to take some trial and error. The pictures and the words are not really all that descriptive, but we're going to work my way through, and then I'll let you know how it goes. So apparently the idea is to take at the top of the net and just pull the little loop over the ball on the top. But if you take a look over here, you can see they didn't. They sewed the loop a little too tight, so it's near impossible to pull down with your hands. So I grabbed a pair of pliers, and I'm hoping I can pull it over the top. So I wasn't able to fasten them down, so just temporarily until I'm done, I'm just setting it underneath the little cap here, just like so. Might drill a hole, because I don't want this to slide down this way. I might drill a hole through and then put a bolt in or something that doesn't look too bad, but I don't want to weaken the nylon by cutting some of the thread, so I think I'll just support it, but very disappointed in this part. Okay, we're down to the end here. Again, the instructions are not very clear. It's just showing us threading through at the base here. It says to make sure the zipper is at the 0 point, which I've done. It's just not very descriptive as to how to achieve this, so I'm just threading it through and hoping for the best. Hopefully I keep it all even and it works out, but we'll check in. Alright, by looping the rope and tying the little ropes together and just kind of threading them through, one through the triangles and then once through the bottom of the mesh, just sort of sewing around. By doing that, we're what I think is complete here. I hope anyway. We're going to bounce around a little bit and test it out here. Just in time, as you can see, the sky's getting pretty black up there. Storm's on the way. Hopefully this thing doesn't attract lightning. Anyway, looks like we're complete here. Just got to pop the ladder on. Not sure how to do that because that I don't think is included in the directions. It is not. So We're going to figure out how to pop the ladder on. Overall, this wasn't that bad of a process. They left us a little high and dry at the end as far as directions go, but we're going to test out the trampoline itself. Alright guys, so it was about a 3-hour install for me. Now I did take a break or two. I did it all by myself when it does recommend multiple people. I would think you can probably shave an hour off that time easily if you had a second person, because there are so many redundant tasks to be done with each pole and each post. And if you have a second person to thread things through, to slip over these covers, to tie all the elastic underneath, to pop on the springs, if you have somebody else to help you with that, you would save a lot of time. The other tip I can give you, get a screw gun with a Phillips head and also a ratchet socket wrench, and you'll save a lot of time there as well. I just bounced around on this thing a little bit. I run about 250 pounds, probably maybe a little more, and it was quiet. It bounced me just fine. It wasn't you know, laboring, so to speak, or creaking or anything like that. It's pretty silent operation. You know, certainly it's going to hold my little one who's about 40 pounds soaking wet. The basketball hoop is pretty cool. I didn't expect it to be that high quality. Overall, nice construction, and really happy with it.